The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Treasury projects moderate economic expansion with 3.1% GDP growth forecast for 2025 amid strong fiscal performance. COPF reveals 30% of vehicle imports remain stalled at customs amid clearance delays. Sri Lankan stocks dip slightly amid cautious investor sentiment and market uncertainties. And Wall Street hits record highs as Tesla and Micron lead a strong tech rally.
From Studio 24C with Prithika Sivakumar.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Treasury has projected Sri Lanka's GDP to grow by 3.1% in 2025 based on strong fiscal performance in the first half of the year. This estimate falls below the central bank's 4.5% and the IMF's 3.5% growth forecast.
The Treasury has forecast a 3.1% GDP growth for Sri Lanka in 2025, citing strong fiscal performance in the first half of the year. This projection was shared with the Committee on Public Finance, though it is lower than the central bank's 4.5% and the IMF's 3.5% forecast. Finance Ministry officials reported revenue of Rs 2,318 billion from January to June 2025, exceeding the estimated Rs 2,241 billion by 3%. However, expenditure rose to Rs 3,467 billion, driven mainly by debt servicing cost of Rs 1,984 billion and increased spending on public services. Indian Revenue Department officials also noted improved tax collection and the issuance of 1.3 million new tax identification numbers.
United States Ambassador Julie Chung and senior officials from the U.S. Trade Representative Office met with President Anurakumara Dissanayake at the Presidential Secretariat for discussions on trade relations. The USTR delegation praised Sri Lanka's progress in economic recovery and commended the government's efforts in negotiating U.S. tariffs on Sri Lankan imports. They also highlighted ongoing U.S. assistance and potential future trade agreements between the two countries. President Dissanayake emphasized the vulnerability of Sri Lanka's small economy to external shocks and urged careful consideration of these factors in trade negotiations. He stressed the importance of strengthening the long-term bilateral relationship between Sri Lanka and the United States. The meeting included key representatives from both countries' economic and trade sectors to foster collaboration. The Parliamentary Committee on Public Finance revealed that 30% of vehicle imports remained uncleared at Sri Lanka Customs in the first half of 2025. Despite this, customs revenue grew by 47%, with vehicle imports contributing Rs 429 billion to the total collection.
The Parliamentary Committee on Public Finance found that about 30% of vehicle imports remained uncleared at Sri Lanka Customs during the first half of 2025. Customers recorded a revenue of Rs 996 billion in this period, marking a 47% increase compared to the previous year. Vehicle imports contributed significantly to this growth, generating Rs 429 billion in revenue. Since the lifting of vehicle import restrictions, a total of 220,026 vehicles have been imported, with only 154,537 cleared by customs. The committee also noted delays in clearance times, which currently stand at 9 to 10 days. Customs officials assured that efforts are underway to reduce this to a 3-day clearance process.
TikTok, in partnership with the government of Sri Lanka, has launched a dedicated STEM feed to promote science, technology, engineering and mathematics content within the country. The launch event was attended by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, government officials, education leaders and local creators, highlighting the collaborative effort to enhance digital learning. The STEM feed offers curated, high-quality content designed to spark curiosity and support students, educators and young professionals. TikTok also introduced the STEM Talk hashtag to showcase local STEM content in native languages. The platform emphasized user safety through features like family pairing and content filters to ensure a secure learning environment. This initiative marks a significant step in leveraging technology to advance education and empower Sri Lanka's youth. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The Sri Lankan stock market ended the week slightly lower, with the ASPI and S&P SL 20 indices dipping marginally. Investor sentiment remained cautious amid ongoing economic and global uncertainties. For further insights on this, we have Manusha Kandanarachi from First Capital Holdings.
Continuing the profit-taking sentiment from the previous day, the Colombo stock market witnessed a predominantly selling trend despite some bargain hunting. During the early hours of trading, the index saw a sharp decline followed by a brief period of buying interest. However, selling pressure resumed later in the session as well. As a result, the all-share price index ended the week at 20,611, down by 31 points. The decline was largely driven by losses in banking sector stocks and conglomerates. Notably, Commercial Bank, Melsta Corporation, Browns Investments, Sampath Bank and Bukit Dara were among the top negative contributors to the index. Compared to yesterday, retail participation decreased while high net worth investor activity remained strong. Turnover for the day stood at 5.8 billion rupees. This reflects a 23% decrease over the monthly average, which stands at around 7.6 billion rupees as well. In terms of sector-wise contribution to the overall turnover, the banking sector took the lead with a share of 33%, while capital goods and diversified financial sectors followed behind with the combined contribution of 35%. The top three gainers of the day were SMB Finance Voting, UB Finance and Eastern Merchants, while top three losers of the day were Kerner House Global Solutions, La Power non-voting and extra non-voting. Thank you.
This week, the Sri Lankan stock market experienced moderate volatility amid mixed economic signals and investor caution. Key indices fluctuated as market participants reacted to both local developments and global trends. For further insights on this, we have Dimantha Matthews from First Capital Holdings.
So during the week, as soon as the market reached the 21,000 mark, since it's in all-time high territory, we are seeing a bit of confusion among investors where there is sometimes a lot of profit taking coming into the market. However, despite the profit taking, we are seeing a selected set of investors looking at bargain hunting as well. So with this with this buying and selling coming in, there's a bit of a volatility taking place in the market, where on one day you're seeing strong buying interest, while on the next day you're seeing a bit of profit taking. Intraday also we are seeing a similar sentiment. So there's a bit of confusion among investors as they lack direction. So at the upcoming budget and potentially the next IMF tranche could be possible reasons where the investors are sort of adopting a wait and see approach and looking for some amount of direction from the government as well. So with this, turnover levels continue to still remain at healthy levels, mostly above the 5 billion mark on most of the days. So volume levels are also relatively strong. So we are seeing a lot of retail high net worth activity continuing throughout the week. And also corporate level activity is also there, and on the corporate and the high net worth side, there's a lot of bargain hunting also happening. So we are seeing a mixed reaction in the market, and we feel that that is likely to continue to the upcoming week as well.
Gold prices rose in Asian trading today, hovering just below record highs as signs of a cooling U.S. labor market reinforced bets on a Federal Reserve rate cut next week despite slightly stronger inflation data. Spot gold was up from 0.5% at $3,652.02 per ounce, not far from the all-time high of $3,673.95 touched earlier this week. U.S. gold futures expiring in December also climbed 0.5% to $3,692.52 ounce. Other precious metals also gained on Friday. Silver futures jumped 1.5% to $42.79 per ounce, holding at its highest level in nearly 14 years. Platinum futures rose 1% to $1,406.85 per ounce. Benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange gained 0.4% to $10,106.35 a ton, their highest level in 6 months. US COMEX copper futures advanced 0.5% to $4.69 a pound, a one-month high. Oil prices fell in Asian trade today amid persistent concerns over sluggish demand and rising global supplies, although they were still headed for mild weekly gains. Oil took some support from heightened geopolitical tensions in Russia, Ukraine, and the Middle East this week, while the prospect of more US sanctions against Moscow also helped. Brent oil futures for November fell 0.5% to $66.03 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 0.6% to $61.74 a barrel. Both contracts were up between 0.5% and 1% for this week. The IEA sees supply rising by 2.7 million barrels per day in 2025, up from prior forecast of 2.5 million BPD and by an additional 2.1 million BPD in 2026. The US is seeking to pressure G7 countries to hit China and India with sharply higher tariffs for buying Russian oil. The Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated slightly against the US dollar today compared to yesterday. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has reduced from 298 rupees and 26 cents to 298 rupees and 11 cents, while the selling rate has also dropped from 305 rupees to 77 cents to 305 rupees and 65 cents. However, the Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated against a basket of foreign currencies, while it has appreciated against Gulf currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lankan Airlines has partnered with Axis Bank India to offer exclusive travel benefits to the bank's 15 million customers. This strategic alliance enhances air travel value for Indian passengers with discounted fares, extra baggage, and expanded connectivity.
Sri Lankan Airlines has entered into a strategic partnership with Axis Bank, one of India's largest private sector banks, to provide exclusive travel benefits to its 15 million customers. As part of the initial phase, Axis Bank credit and debit card holders will receive a 10% discount on business and economy class fares when booking flights via the Sri Lankan Airlines website. The offer applies to flights from India to Colombo and onward to key destinations in the Far East, Middle East, Maldives, Frankfurt, and Paris. Additionally, passengers flying to Melbourne will enjoy an extra 5 kg baggage allowance. This marks Sri Lankan Airlines' first ever collaboration with a private Indian bank, highlighting its focus on strengthening ties with the Indian travel market.
Ruhunu Farms Private Limited, a subsidiary of Aberdeen Holdings, inaugurated its newly expanded poultry facility in Hambantota, marking a major milestone in its 46-year journey. The 260 million rupees investment increases production capacity by 10 million eggs annually, boosting supply chain efficiency and meeting growing regional demand. The launch event was attended by key stakeholders, including Aberdeen Holdings leadership and founder Asmi Tassim, and featured recognition of long-serving employees. General Manager Mohammad Rizwan highlighted the expansion as the farm's most significant transformation, emphasizing its impact on quality, sustainability, and resilience. Established in 1980, Ruhunu Farms plays a key role in food security across Sri Lanka's southern province. John Keel's Logistics has partnered with the Institute of Supply and Materials Management to drive innovation and professional growth in Sri Lanka's supply chain sector. The collaboration marks a strategic step towards strengthening industry standards through education, training, and real-world experience.
John Keel's Logistics, a subsidiary of John Keel's Holdings plc, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Institute of Supply and Materials Management, becoming one of its new institutional members. This partnership aims to enhance Sri Lanka's supply chain sector through knowledge sharing, professional development, and industry collaboration. It will focus on key areas such as e-commerce fulfillment, last-mile delivery, and smart warehousing. JKLL will also support internship programs, student field visits, training workshops, and thought leadership forums. The initiative is expected to help shape the next generation of supply chain professionals while strengthening JKLL's industry leadership. ISMM welcomed the partnership, highlighting its potential to raise professional standards across the logistics sector.
The Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Peradeniya, in collaboration with Tokyo Cement Group, successfully hosted the Industry University Collaboration Day 2025 at the Kivas Auditorium in Ratmalana. The event brought together government officials, academic leaders, industry professionals, and engineering students to strengthen ties between academia and the construction industry. Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Ahrani Amarasuriya, as chief guest, highlighted the need for STEM-focused curriculum reform and praised the university's efforts to produce industry-ready graduates. The event featured student-led research presentations, poster exhibitions, and the unique shotgun presentations, offering rapid-fire pitches on practical engineering solutions. DFCC Bank celebrates its 70th anniversary by launching a fixed deposit bonanza offering attractive rates and flexible terms. The promotion includes short and long-term deposit options designed to provide customers with both security and competitive returns.
DFCC Bank is celebrating its 70th anniversary with a special fixed deposit bonanza offering competitive interest rates and flexible terms. Customers can choose short-term fixed deposits of 100 and 200 days with rates starting at 7.5% per annum. For longer-term investments, the bank offers attractive rates up to 11.5% per annum on 5-year deposits. The promotion also includes competitive rates for 2, 3, and 4-year fixed deposits. Senior Vice President emphasized the bank's commitment to delivering value through both short-term flexibility and long-term financial security. This initiative highlights DFCC Bank's dedication to rewarding customer trust and supporting their financial goals.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stock markets extended their rally today, with technology and chipmaker shares leading gains as investors tracked record highs on Wall Street amid expectations of a Federal Reserve rate cut next week. South Korea's Kospi Index jumped 1.3%, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index advanced 1.6%, with Hang Seng Tech Sub-Index surging nearly 2.5%. Japan's Nikkei 225 climbed over 1% to 44,888 points, a fresh record peak. Japan's broader topics index gained 0.7%, also hitting fresh record highs of 3,171.77 points. Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 was largely steady. Australia's S&P or ASX 200 rose 0.7%, while Singapore's Straits Times Index edged down 0.3%. India's Nifty 50 ticked 0.2% lower. Wall Street's main indexes notched record high closes following gains in Tesla and Micron Technology, while US inflation and jobless data fueled expectations that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates this month.
Wall Street's main indexes notched record high closes on Thursday, with the Dow adding about 1.33%, the S&P 500 climbing more than 0.8%, and the Nasdaq rising about 0.7%. U.S. consumer prices rose more than expected in August, and the annual increase in inflation was the largest in 7 months. A separate report showed initial jobless claims increased for the week ending September 6th to the highest level in nearly 4 years. Sam Stovall, chief investment strategist with CFRA Research, says markets cheered the latest data, which ensures the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates at its meeting later this month. Shares of Tesla also boosted markets with a 6% gain, as did Micron Technology shares, which jumped 7.5% after Citigroup raised its price target on the memory chipmaker's stock. And shares of Warner Brothers Discovery leapt 29%. After the Wall Street Journal reported that Paramount Skydance is preparing a majority cash bid for the struggling media company.
Microsoft and OpenAI signed a non-binding deal for new relationship terms that would allow OpenAI to proceed to restructure itself into a for-profit company, marking a new phase of the most high-profile partnerships to fund the ChatGPT frenzy.
Microsoft and OpenAI have agreed to rejig the terms of their relationship. The non-binding agreement announced Thursday should allow the ChatGPT maker to proceed with turning itself into a for-profit company. Full details weren't disclosed, and the pair say they are still finalizing a definitive agreement. Microsoft invested $1 billion in OpenAI in 2019, and then another $10 billion in 2023. Under that agreement, it had exclusive rights to sell OpenAI's tools through its Azure cloud computing platform. It was also once the AI pioneer's exclusive provider of computing capacity. But OpenAI wants a more conventional corporate structure and the freedom to partner with other cloud providers. Microsoft wants continued access to OpenAI's technology, even if the firm declares its AI to have reached human-like intelligence. Under the existing agreement, hitting that milestone would have terminated the partnership. Regulatory hurdles could yet get in the way of the new deal. It will have to be cleared by attorneys general in California and Delaware. But OpenAI hopes to complete the conversion to for-profit status by the end of the year, or risk losing billions in funding that is tied to that timeline.
That wraps up today's Nightly Business Report. We value your opinions. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We will see you again next week with the latest updates in the business globe. With Varna Surya, we'll meet you next with other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Prithika Sivakumar. Thank you for watching and have a very good night.